Heath Ledger. This name has become an icon, forever linked to the image of the criminal clown Joker in the film The Dark Knight, 2008. This role not only redefined the classic DC Comics villain, but also etched Ledger's name into the history of world cinema. But few know that behind that exceptional performance was a process of artistic labor filled with obsession and perhaps too high a price paid for a genius. The story of Heath Ledger and the Joker is a tragic epic of dedication, talent, and tragedy. When Christopher Nolan, the talented director of The Dark Knight, announced that Heath Ledger would play the Joker, the initial public reaction was a wave of immense skepticism, even outrage. How could a young actor, once famous for romantic roles, the charming guy in 10 Things I Hate About You, or the deeply internal gay cowboy in Brokeback Mountain, transform into a psychotic, chaotic, and terrifying villain, one of the most fearsome in comic book history? Criticism, sneers, and predictions of failure flooded forums and newspapers. This very skepticism, ironically, became a powerful catalyst, pushing Ledger into an unprecedented acting journey, a painful and haunting transformation. To prepare for this role, Ledger adopted an intense acting method, a form of method acting taken to extremes. He locked himself in a London hotel room for about a month, cutting off all contact with the outside world. This was not just an act of simple isolation. It was a deep dive into the Joker's dark mind. During that period of isolation, Ledger completely immersed himself in the complex inner world of the clown. He meticulously recorded notes in a diary, later known as the Joker Diary. This diary was not just an acting tool, but also a window into Ledger's gradually transforming mind. In it, he pasted images of hyenas, terrifying clowns, Joker comic book pages, and even his own bizarre sketches of the Joker. He experimented with different voices, recorded chilling jokes, and wrote the Joker's insane thought about the world, chaos, and human nature. Ledger constantly researched unstable psychological characters, psychopaths in cinema and literature. He drew inspiration from Alex and Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange, a violent but strangely charismatic character, or punk singers with their rebellious, defiant style. He watched documentaries about serial killers and organized criminals repeatedly to gain a deeper understanding of criminal psychology and apathy. His goal was not to imitate anyone, but to distill the purest elements of madness, chaos, and brutality to create a unique Joker. This process did not stop at theoretical research. Ledger spent hours practicing the character's walk, gestures, and especially his distinctive voice. He experimented with various tones, from hoarse and growling to a high-pitched insane cackle or a deep, menacing whisper. He stood in front of a mirror, continuously practicing the Joker's twisted, nauseating smile, his lip-licking habit, and the expression of his empty yet haunting eyes. Every movement, every sound was meticulously refined by Ledger until it became his second nature. He wanted the Joker to be not just a role, but a living, terrifying entity, a tangible nightmare. Ledger's dedication did not stop during the preparation phase. Even during filming, he often stayed in character between takes. He appeared on set with smudged makeup, disheveled green hair, and the Joker's wild eyes. Crew members, from the director to his co-stars, all shivered at his haunting immersion. Christian Bale, who played Batman, once shared that Ledger was so deeply in character as a Joker that it genuinely scared him during their scenes, to the point where he had to remind himself, this is just a movie. This shows how much Ledger blurred the line between himself and the character. He didn't just play the Joker. He became the Joker, a living madman, a chaotic philosopher, a catalyst of disorder, and someone who saw through the dark nature of society. This personal sacrifice created a completely new Joker, far surpassing all previous versions, and laid the foundation for a performance that would go down in cinematic history. When The Dark Knight was released in 2008, Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker sent shockwaves across the globe, exceeding all expectations and completely redefining this classic villain. He didn't just embody the Joker. He created a new cultural icon. Ledger's Joker not only had a terrifying appearance with smudged makeup like a bleeding wound, disheveled green hair, and a nauseating smile formed from scars, but also a terrifying psychological depth, an internal chaos that was impossible to grasp. He had no clear motive, no defined past, just a harbinger of chaos, a force of nature that could not be controlled an invisible nightmare. Every scene featuring the Joker became a terrifying and captivating highlight. From the opening scene with the meticulously planned and brutal bank heist to the intense confrontations with Batman, Ledger portrayed a Joker who was both brutal and cunning, with a dark sense of humor and terrifying psychological manipulation skills. The dialogue scenes between the Joker and Batman, especially the interrogation scene in the police station, have become cinematic classics. In this scene, the Joker was not merely a killer but a nihilist philosopher, challenging every order and moral value that Batman represented. He cared nothing for money or power. He only wanted to prove that anyone, even a hero like Batman, could succumb to chaos in their own dark nature. The Joker's line, "Why so serious?" was not just a simple dialogue, but became a symbol of his madness and his cynical view of the world, of humanity's futile attempts to maintain order. Ledger brought a completely different Joker compared to previous versions. His Joker was not an ordinary criminal, nor was he just a crazy troublemaker. He was a master of psychology, a master manipulator, capable of seeing through people's deepest weaknesses and fears. He didn't need guns to instill fear. He only needed words, psychological games, and the chaos he sowed. Ledger's performance was overwhelmingly praised by critics, who called it a masterpiece, a peak performance, and one of the greatest villains of all time. He didn't just play the Joker. He became the Joker, and that stunned the world. However, this haunting immersion began to leave heavy marks on Heath Ledger. Friends, family, and colleagues noticed that he had difficulty disengaging from the character after filming scenes. He frequently suffered from insomnia, sleeping only about 2 hours a night. To cope with prolonged insomnia and stress, he began using prescription medication. Ledger himself admitted that the role severely affected his mental health, leaving him exhausted, anxious, and unable to escape the Joker's chaotic psychological state. The pressure of the role, the isolation during character research, and the stress of maintaining the Joker's insane mental state throughout filming wore him down from within. He once shared in an interview that the Joker is a man with no emotions whatsoever, a cold psychopath, and that's the hardest thing about embodying him. He poured all his passion, energy, and even a part of his soul into the role, and the price paid for that dedication gradually became clear. On January 22nd, 2008, the world was shocked by the news of Heath Ledger's death at the age of 28 in his New York apartment. His sudden passing created a wave of deep regret and sorrow globally. The cause of death was determined to be acute drug intoxication, a combination of several prescription medications such as painkillers, oxycodone, hydrocodone, tranquilizers, diazepam, alprazolam, and sleeping pills, temazepam, doxylamine. Although it cannot be absolutely confirmed that the Joker role directly led to his death, many believe that the immense pressure, extreme stress, and deep immersion in the character contributed to his deteriorating mental and physical health, leading him to seek medication to cope with insomnia and anxiety. Ledger's passing occurred just months before The Dark Knight was released. This only added to the tragedy and regret for a talent at the peak of his career. When the film hit theaters in July 2008, his performance sent shockwaves worldwide. Critics and audiences alike agreed that he had created a perfect Joker, one of the greatest villains of all time, a character who transcended the confines of superhero film to become a cultural icon. He transformed a comic book character into a living, complex, and terrifying work of art. This role earned him countless prestigious awards, a well-deserved recognition for his outstanding talent and dedication. Heath Ledger was honored with an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, a Golden Globe Award, a BAFTA Award, and a SAG Award, all presented posthumously. He became the second actor in Oscar history to win an award after his death, the first being Peter Finch. This award was not only an acknowledgement of his exceptional talent, but also a painful reminder of the price an artist can pay for their dedication. The Oscar ceremony that year was filled with emotion, as his family accepted the award on his behalf, with tears and tributes to a son, a brother, a father who had given his all to art. Heath Ledger's legacy is not just an iconic role, but also a tragic story of a young talent who dedicated everything to art, perhaps even sacrificing his life. His death left a huge void in the hearts of fans and the film industry. It also served as a stark warning about the pressure actors face when delving too deeply into complex psychological characters and the importance of mental health care. Today, when the Joker is mentioned, Heath Ledger's image remains an irreplaceable monument. He set a gold standard for other actors embodying this character, a benchmark for immersion and transformation. Subsequent versions of the Joker, no matter how successful, could not escape the enormous shadow Ledger created. His death remains a sorrow, a Hollywood tragedy, but it is also a powerful testament to the greatness and influence of an artist who lived fully for his passion and left an indelible mark. Heath Ledger didn't just play the Joker. He became the Joker, and that was a role of a lifetime, but also a heavy price that cinematic history will forever remember. He is gone, but his Joker will live on in the mind of audiences, a symbol of chaos and a reminder of an extraordinary talent that faded too soon.